right, here we go. So we got our Azamina Mitsurugi Snake Eyes Fiendsmith deck. I'm just going to kind of quickly click through these cards so you can see which cards are here, and I will explain some of them to you. But don't worry, we'll get to that in just a second. So for the most part, we have Azamina Mitsurugi Snake Eyes Fiendsmith. I know it's a lot of shit here. Now let me go through it. All right, so the Azamina stuff. The way you would start the combos is you kind of see this as Azamina and Mitsurugi as two starters, and they both bridge into Snake Eyes and Fiendsmith. Once you get Azamina combos started, boom, it's going to get you to Snake Eyes and Fiendsmith. Once you get Mitsurugi play started, it's going to get you to Snake Eyes and Fiendsmith. These two engines don't actually bridge into each other, but they can complement each other, and I'll explain how. So we have Deception. Deception contribute. That's the important part of Deception. It tributes. So if you have Deception plus one of these cards here, they can get you to the Habakiri through Deception. Deception is not the only way to do it though. There's three of them, but there's also a Wanted, and there's also 3 Diabell Stars, which means that you have more access to Deception than just 3 Deceptions. Also, you have in this deck Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi will basically get you into Snake Eyes because you can do it through Infernal Flame Banshee. Now, I don't put the other bridge in and do it to where you can bridge Fiendsmith into Mitsurugi because I prefer to play Azamina because it's just more interruptions. There are people that do that, but then you're sacrificing your actual Fiendsmith cards, or the Fiendsmith combo, not the cards, but the actual ability to do a Fiendsmith combo. You're sacrificing that just to make the bridge. I choose not to do that. This deck is way too powerful to even worry about that, because for one, you're probably going to have some kind of starter. I have played this deck with only access to Fiendsmith and beat people, like continuously beat some of the best decks in this game, Draco Tail, with just Fiendsmith by itself. So just literally wanting to throw that out there. Fiendsmith by itself, I've had brick hands where I've had literally just access to Fiendsmith, and I think I had, what card was it? I think it was Snake Eye Birch and Fiendsmith, and I literally did Fiendsmith plays and then kept Birch and used Birch to actually summon Ash on my opponent's turn, Ash into Poplar, and then boom, next turn I was full Snake Eyes, and I actually won the game with somewhat of a brick hand, if I'm being honest with you. So just want to point that out. Let me show this deck and how it works. So we're gonna go through some combos. All right, so with this hand right here, we pretty much have everything. Actually, we have everything. This is pretty much full combo. So generally, let me show how this combo kind of works. So the best way to kind of show this is to actually go pre-prep. I'm gonna grab Mirror right here, and I'm not gonna grab Habakiri because I want to showcase this. I want to showcase what you can do. So we're gonna grab Futsu, and then we're gonna also grab, we're gonna go Diabell Star. We're gonna send the Snake Eyes Diabell Star because we won't need that to summon out Diabell Star to Black Witch. We're gonna activate this to actually set Deception right here. Then we're gonna activate Deception. Now, when we activate Deception to search, we're gonna tribute the Mitsurugi. So if you start off with a Ritual or the Aramasa, you can tribute it, right? Now, if it's the other one, if it's Habakiri, you want to activate Habakiri first to grab Saji, or to summon Saji and then search. But if not, you would want to go ahead and do this. That way you can use that to tribute. And then we're going to grab Hallowed Azumina, right? And then because we tributed a Mitsurugi, it'll actually activate. So now we can search. And we can just search for the Habakiri just like that. See? That makes sense? That makes sense. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense right there. Then what we can do is we can go Hallowed Azumina. And what we can do is we can actually summon Murusilago to send Deception. Now, you could have just went right into Ilya Silva since we already have Snake Eye Ash. But this is how you search and get to Snake Eye Ash, because you can just send whatever or add whatever. So we could add Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye right here, and then we could banish this and it'll send this card back into our deck to actually search for one level 1 fire. But because we already have Snake Eye Ash, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do Wanted, right? Because Wanted will get us a card draw. We're not going to activate it just yet, so hold off on that. What we're going to do is we're going to link into Moon of the Closed Heavens with these two cards. Now, here's the thing. Depending on what hand traps your opponent plays, if they Droll and lock Virtue, then your goal is to just go into Fiendsmith, make DDD Wave King High Caesar, and pass. But there's a specific way that I make him in this deck, so then that way you get 3 interruptions rather than just 2. So I use Necroquip Princess to do it, and I'll show you. You'll see it in this combo. Don't worry, I'll show you how it's done. Now you could, if you wanted to, go ahead and make Caesar now before you do anything else, or you could set up the Omni Negate first and then do it. The way to set up the Omni Negate is to just Hallowed Azumina right here, shuffle back to Rusialago, and the Rusialago doesn't have to be in the grave to shuffle it back off of Hallowed, but I prefer to link it for Moon of the Closed Heavens so we can get some value out of having it rather than just sending it from the field back to put Hallowed Azumina back. That way we can get Moon of the Closed Heavens with 1 less material. So it's like basically a link 1 at this point, because we're doing it from a card that we were going to send back to the extra deck anyways, right? Hopefully that makes sense. If you don't understand, just rewatch what I just did. So now we're going to activate Hallowed Azumina again, and this time we are going to chain Wanted to the Hallowed Azumina. If you miss the chain, then this won't work properly and you won't be able to actually search a card. This is good for deck thinning. You'll still be able to draw a card, but you won't be able to do the deck thinning part of this, which is why I'm kind of pointing this out. Now we're going to make Ilya Silva, sending the Wanted from the field. So this is all about just getting value. That's all this is, just getting value. So now we're going to go Fiendsmith Requiem, and like I said, if you started off with Diabellstar, if you started off with Diabellstar, you do not want to search Wanted. You want to search Original Sinful Spoils, but we already have Ash on the field, so that's why we search Wanted. Just want to point that out. I want y'all to understand that. We're gonna go Lacrima to Crimson Tears. We're gonna activate Lacrima. Now, if you started off with Fiendsmith Engraver to bait out cards with your opponent, you just send a trap. But because we haven't, we're gonna send Engraver. Then we're gonna use Fiendsmith Requiem to equip to Lacrima, and then we're gonna go into Necroquip. And I know what you're thinking, why can't we just go into sequence? No, don't go into sequence, and you'll see why. So we're going to send back specifically Moon of the Closed Heavens. If you started this off with Fiendsmith track, then you're going to want to send Lurie back to the deck. You want to keep Requiem and Lacrima of the Crimson Tears in your grave. Then you're going to make DDD Wave King High Caesar. Now, the whole point of doing this early like this, because normally you do this at the very end, but the reason why we're doing it early is so if they have Nibiru and they activate Nibiru, you can use DDD Wave King High Caesar to actually negate that Nibiru rather than using Ilya Silva. So the goal here is you're taking away hand traps that they may have. If they have Phimina, this also takes it away, so they can't use Phimina in hand. That way you don't have to use your Omni Negate. You can use DDD Wave King High Caesar. If they have also a Bestial, you can use DDD Wave King High Caesar. So hopefully all of this makes sense. You can also draw a card off of Wanted, but not yet. I like to thin as much as my deck as possible. Now you can start off with Mitsurugi if you want, or you can start off with Snake Eyes. I prefer to start off with Snake Eyes because Snake Eyes takes up the most space, and it's the hardest to play with the least amount of space. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Snake Eyes plays right here, but generally you would start off with Mitsurugi, and then Mitsurugi can bridge into your Snake Eyes stuff. But since we already have access to both because of the engine, we don't have to worry about it. If we didn't have access to the Azamina engine, we would have started off with Mitsurugi, and then Mitsurugi would just bridge into Snake Eyes, and we would still have our space. So let's just go ahead and normal Snake Eye Ash. This will grab us Poplar to summon. And then we're gonna go Divine Temple, I believe, right here. And right here, okay, so right here, I could set the Diabell Star, Snake Eye Diabell Star that's in my graveyard, or I can deck thin. Now, because I had it in my hand and I sent it, I'm just gonna set Birch, but you should set Snake Eye Diabell Star in the back row. You'll see why. So I'm gonna set Birch, and then we're gonna pretend this is Snake Eye Diabell Star. We're gonna activate the Snake Eye Ash right here to send Birch to summon out Flamberge. Now, if you did what I did and you sent this off like this, and you have Birch in the grave, plus you have Snake Eye Diabell Star, you can then just link Poplar off, and you can set Diabell Star in the back row, and then you can summon Diabell Star, putting the Birch in the back row. But most people are not going to be able to do this, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go into IP Masquerena using Flamberge plus Poplar. What that'll do is that'll trigger both of them. So I'm doing this the way that just naturally flows with the combo. So we are going to target Snake Eye Diabell Star, and we're going to set that in the back row off of Poplar. And then Flamberge is going to summon out Poplar and Ash. It can be any of the monsters, it doesn't matter. If you have Birch in the grave, you can summon Birch. It doesn't matter. You're going to link them off anyways. Right here, we're going to go Link Karibo. Specifically, you want to do Link Karibo before anything else, because once you do your next plays, you're going to be pretty much locked into fire until after you get both of these off. So what we're going to do is go into Promethean Princess. So we're going to use this and this to go into Promethean Princess. I'm gonna activate Promethean Princess to actually summon out Flamberge. And then of course we're gonna go into Amblo Will. Just like that. Now, before I forget, or before anybody forgets, we're just gonna go ahead and set the IP Masquerena right away. So nobody forgets. That's why we're doing this. So nobody forgets. Now we can go ahead and do our Mitsurugi plays. So Mitsurugi is very specific when you have just 2 zones, when it's very limited. So I'll show you how this is done. So we're gonna go Habakiri, summon Saji, tribute Saji. We're gonna grab the ritual. Now we're gonna go ritual effect for the first effect right here to summon out this card. Now you don't want to go the Night Sword Serpent right here, because this will summon and it'll be in your way. Night Sword Serpent is how you bridge into Snake Eyes. So if you don't start off with the Deception, then you would start with this and Kusanagi. Because we're not doing that, we're going to bridge in a different kind of way. We're going to go Kusanagi plus Aramasa to summon out the Habakiri. Of course, we're going to go Kusanagi right here to add back the ritual, and then Aramasa. Now, because I used the ritual to send Futsu so long ago, let's say you sent some other card that wasn't one of your rituals to get into this, and you just had access to this in some kind of other way, and this is not in your graveyard. What we're gonna do is you would add this card from your deck to your hand. So if Mirakumo plus Futsu are both still in your deck, add Futsu from your deck to your hand off of this search. But because it's in my graveyard, I'm just gonna add another Habakiri. If you have only Mirakumo in your deck, don't add that to your hand because you're about to summon. So don't worry, you'll see. So we're gonna add Habakiri right here. Then we're gonna activate the ritual right here, and we're going to summon Mirakumo, tributing the Habakiri on field to summon the Mirakumo. Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but look, we're going to activate Habakiri to add a prayers. Now we have prayers in our hand, but we're going to add prayers, and then we're not going to special summon the Habakiri back to the field. I know you want to, but we're not going to. Actually, no, you don't add prayers, you add mirror. I'm sorry, you add mirror. Mirror is the card that you needed. So mirror first and then prayers. And then you remember that Futsu that you were supposed to add instead of this card? That's where we would summon Futsu. But if you added prayers and you didn't add mirror Futsu or whatever, then you could still just do this with prayers anyways, but it doesn't matter. But this is just to get Futsu summoned on the field as well. So we're gonna go mirror to actually summon Futsu, and we're gonna tribute Mirakumo. And then we're gonna activate Mirakumo. And then right here, you would add, this is where you would add prayers. The previous time was supposed to be mirror, so this time you would add prayers. But because we already got prayers, we're gonna add purification. If you do this differently and you don't add what I'm adding here, it's okay. It's fine. Because you can just use prayers to get purification, but purification is good for a very specific reason. And then you see special summon Mirakumo, we're gonna click no. I know that sounds crazy. You don't want to put Mirakumo, but Futsu is a special summoning, like big time special summoner for the deck. So it'll put stuff back on the field, and all you really need is just the Omni Negate. Everything else will be fine. If you have access to prayers because you started off the way that I started off, you're gonna have prayers too, so don't worry. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set our purification, we're gonna set our prayers, and then we are going to activate that wanted that's been sitting in our graveyard for the longest to actually put the deception back into the deck and draw us a card. So we draw something. Now, hopefully that would have been a hand trap, but hey, listen, it's okay. We drew into something, right? I'm gonna just hold this prayers because it doesn't matter, but now our field is set. So the way we just did this full combo, we have everything set up. This is stronger than you may think. When you look at this combo, this inboard, it doesn't seem that powerful, but let me explain it. So in your graveyard, you have Lacrima and Fiendsmith Requiem. These can summon onto the field on your opponent's turn to send a trap. The trap will then allow you to send Desiree, so then that way you can interrupt your opponent by sending something on their field by shuffling back a Light Fiend on their turn. So that's the first interruption, and this is in the graveyard. Our second interruption, we'll have access to Ash and Poplar to search, which doesn't really interrupt your opponent, it just searches. But they're going to be two powerful searches, trust me. Board breaker searches, and you'll see it, don't worry. We also have Link Karibo. Link Karibo is actually an interruption because it can deflect an attack, changing the attack to 0. So this will be an interruption that'll happen. We'll also have access to Promethean Princess to pop something on your opponent's side of the field. You'll have access to Amblo Well. Amblo Well can actually trigger off of the Link Karibo getting destroyed. So you can pop a card if they destroy Link Karibo. So let's read this for a second. If a Link 3 or lower monster on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect. Battle or card effect. So if Link Karibo gets destroyed by battle or card effect, you can pop a card on the field. And it is non-targeting pop too, by the way. So yeah. Which also means that you can just literally make Promethean Princess onto the field to pop something, and then when they deal with Promethean, you can pop something with Amblo Will. So it just works. And then from there, so that's another interruption. We'll be able to summon all three of these. All three of these will be able to get summoned off of Futsu if we have the space for it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Then we also can summon Mirakumo back to our field to board wipe our opponents. Then we'll also have access to the negate and discard effect. So if their hand gets low, this will come in clutch at that point. So that's a lot of interaction from the graveyard that we've set up. And this is why this deck is so powerful, because we've talked about all of these interruptions that all happen from the graveyard. We haven't even talked about the field yet. So this is more interruption in the graveyard than some decks can do on the field. And this is happening from the graveyard. And I know what you're thinking. Well, you know, that stuff has to have stuff on the field, right? To do that. Well, not the Fiendsmith stuff. This happens from the graveyard completely. So then we also have our prayers and purification. Purification's an Omni Negate as long as we got a Mitsurugi ritual monster on the field. it'll be a Omni negate. It really just says tribute 1 level 5 or higher reptile, which in this deck, that's pretty much just the Mitsurugi ritual monsters. Then we have DDD Wave King High Caesar, which is 2 special summon negates. We have our Futsu, which will just keep summoning bodies, and those bodies will protect, search, do all kind of stuff. We'll have our Flamberge, which will summon IP Masquerena. This puts up so many interruptions by itself when we go into the monster that I'll show you in a second. Ilya Silva is an Omni negate. We also have Snake Eyes Die Bellstar, which can be summoned off of the field spell. So yeah, just keep in mind of that. I could also just summon it right now, and this actually will push one of my opponent's monsters into the back row as well if they try to attack into it. So just know that there's a lot of interruptions happening here with this deck. The field spell can summon something. This can summon IP Masquerena if I want to, or whatever's in the back row. And we're gonna go into Underworld Goddess. Underworld Goddess can negate all of their monsters on the field when it's upon summon. It can tribute one of their monsters. It also cannot be, it's unaffected by monsters, or it's unaffected by anything that doesn't target it. So for them to do anything, they have to target it. If they want to pop it, they have to target it. But here's the thing: if they target it, they still cannot pop it. They have to banish it. You can only target banish this because it'll be made off of IP Masquerena. So can't be destroyed by card effects. So boom. That's another beautiful thing about making it with IP Masquerena anyways. So more than likely, this will be a card that'll be around. Yeah. And I mean, the only thing that really would, and here's the thing, it has to be targeted. So if they were to try to, like, man, if they were to try to use like the branded Despia engine to remove it, they can't even remove it with that. They have to attack over it because the banishing is non-targeting. So yeah, this card is very good, very good. And then also it'll prevent them from being able to special summon monsters from the graveyard, which does come up sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes. Against Yummy, it comes up. Against Dracotail, it can potentially come up. The Dracotail 2 boss monsters, Gulamel and Arthelion, they both can summon from the graveyard, so you can stop both of those. Against Mitsurugi, trying to resummon rituals from the grave, this comes up. So what's that, the top 3 best decks right there? It comes up. So just know that this card is relevant to the meta right now. And then also being able to just negate everything. If your opponent builds a field and then you start playing and they got floodgates and all kind of crazy stuff up, and you play through it and you can get enough bodies on the field to tribute everything, you can tribute and just make Goddess. And believe me, this is very possible to do. Much easier than you may think it is to actually do this. For one, you put 2 bodies on the field, make Moon of the Closed Heavens, boom, link. You activate Moon of the Closed Heavens with the arrows pointed towards their monsters. Guess what? That means you can use 2 of their monsters to make the Underworld Goddess. So now 1, 2, we'll say these are the 2 monsters, these 2 spots. Now 2 monsters, and then you link this off for what? You link it off for Fiendsmith Requiem, boom, Requiem into Lacrima send to make Engraver, and then both of those for sequence to make 2 bodies onto the field, boom, tribute all of that shit off. That's 5 bodies, you tribute it all off, and you get what I'm trying to say? Now you got Goddess, and you can just negate the rest of their field. So it's relevant, trust me. Let's go ahead and just showcase this and how it works. I know I did a lot of explaining there, but I just want to point out what all you can do. So I guess the first thing you would want to do is ultimately the Snake Eyes IP Masquerena Link. You can do other stuff first, but you don't want to do Lacrima first because it'll clog your field. But once you do Ilia Silva, and this is the perfect example of it as well. So you want to stop card destruction because then you're just discarding your entire hand. Now, I don't care what's in my hand, but this is good for me to show because it's card destruction. So let's just show. We're gonna activate Ilia Silva right here. This is going to negate the card destruction, and then I'm going to just go ahead and go Flamberge to summon the IP Masquerena. And then I'm just gonna let him make his summon. So he summons Danger Bigfoot right here, draws a card. What does this say? This card is discarded, send one Danger. Yeah, I don't care about this. I could literally just pop Danger Bigfoot right now with Promethean, but I'm not gonna do that just yet. So right now, since he's doing like plays, I'm gonna show you what I would technically kind of do right here, so then that way you'll understand. The goal is to make space as you play, so I'm gonna go Lacrima right here for Fiendsmith Requiem, and then Requiem for Lacrima to send the trap, just like that, right? Then we can go IP Masquerena whenever we're ready to tribute this off, this off, this off. We'll go this and this, and it doesn't matter that we're using 5 cards. The goal is to make space, just like that. Then we're gonna activate Flamberge, and then you're gonna understand why you want to make space. We're gonna go Poplar and Ash, and remember I told you that you're gonna get 2 very powerful searches that are gonna happen. So we're gonna go Snake Eye Ash plus Poplar, and then Link Karibo for Poplar. And this is where we get our 2 powerful searches. So this will be our 2 board breakers off of Ash and Poplar. So this is where we can search for Subversion, and then our Kurikara. So if our opponent was to break our board, we have 2 board breakers that we'll have in our hand on there when the turn starts for us. So we'll have Poplar, we'll activate, and then we could set whatever. Now right here, you could set Flamberge and then resummon it. You can set Poplar and then resummon it. You can set whatever you want, whatever you choose to set right here, you can do. Just know that you kind of don't want to clog your field up. So if you have an Ash Blossom that you've activated or something you want to set in the back row, you can. But also, if your opponent normal summons, special summons, or whatever, you can summon whatever that monster is onto the field. So I'm just gonna set Birch. Well, actually, for this video specifically, since we don't have Birch in every graveyard because technically the combo may have been done differently by you, I'm gonna set Flamberge. Set Flamberge specifically right here. So now we can negate this with DDD Wave King High Caesar, but if I negate all of his cards, he's not gonna do anything. So let's just let it go. So this effect is going to add and then discard. I'm fine with that. If I discard this, it's gonna special summon, and I don't really want that to happen. But at this point, I really don't care. I'm gonna discard the Habakiri that I don't need. So now he's going to then attempt to summon so we can underworld goddess of the closed world. Remember that negate that I was talking about, that relevant negate? There it is. It's basically ghost spell but in monster form. Then he's got a danger Nessie. Does this do anything? Nope. So I'll let this go through because I kind of want him to summon stuff so I can do stuff. And then he draws a card. So here we can actually summon off of Futsu, or we can just pop or whatever we want to do. So that's exactly what we're going to do, is we're going to activate the Fiendsmith in Paradise. Well, actually, let me activate this field spell to summon Flamberge. And then we're also going to activate Fiendsmith in Paradise. So we're going to send Desiree. And this will just show you kind of the removal effects. Desiree will, you can shuffle back whatever. I shuffle back, generally I like to shuffle back Requiem. And then look, we got a send effect. He's going to activate another danger. I'm gonna just let this happen because I kind of want to showcase like everything. So now we can Promethean Princess pop. Just like that. And look at that end phase. Now Promethean is generally what you would want to do last. But I kind of got to the point where I had to do a lot of pops early because I just refused to DDD Wave King High Caesar. But generally you would be stopping special summons with Caesar way before you would ever get to Promethean Princess pops. And then also, like, because of the way that they were playing, I never really got to doing some of the other stuff that the deck can do, but it's okay, don't worry. They still ended with no cards on field, and I still have a lot of like negates and plays and stuff that are somewhat live and relevant. Let's see here. So you can also go Hallowed Azamina right here to put Ilya Silva back, and then it'll also put the Hallowed Azamina back into your deck right here. And we can just attack for game if I'm being honest. But if you want to do like more stuff, more plays, continue to make plays, you can Deception. It's not going to do anything, but here's the thing. See, Promethean Princess is locking our field. Remember that searched sinful spoils of subversion? You can target your own Promethean Princess and push it into your own back row if you want to do so. So just be mindful of that. And then you have a way of getting rid of it as well. You'll have ways of getting rid of it. Because you can actually like summon Promethean Princess on your opponent's turn through the Flamberge if you choose to do so. So let's say you want to reset your Omni Negate. So what we'll do is, actually we can just use Flamberge to push this shit into the back row. So use Flamberge to just push Promethean into the back row. And then let's go. Let's go Diabell Star to Black Witch right here to actually send Promethean to the graveyard. And then right here now we can just fuck it, dude. Put the trap. And this is just me trying to show like what more you can really do. So let's go let's go moon using, yeah, let's go moon using flamberge plus linkaribo. And then from here, I kind of don't want to do that. There's so much stuff you can do that I really don't know what to fucking do. Let's go Requiem. Requiem to summon out Engraver. And then I'm gonna put into the back row Flamberge. Now, if you do this like this, if you put Flamberge into the back row, if your opponents can play, which they're dead, but I'm just showing like potential stuff you can do for follow up. If your opponent summons and you still got the field spell, then Flamberge can summon. So you can still use Flamberge. And you can also loop Underworld Goddess, because Goddess can be linked off. If you wanted to, you can link Goddess off. It'll go to the grave, and then you can just send it back with Fiendsmith Engraver to your extra deck so you can do it again. Everything in this deck is like very recurable, so just be aware of that. So we're gonna go Engraver plus the Diabellstar, Snake Eye Diabellstar right here into sequence. And then of course we're gonna activate sequence to make Lacrima using Desiree. Actually, I should have waited, but whatever, it's okay. We're gonna use Desiree, Requiem, and then I can add Fiendsmith Engraver back to my hand. And then here I can activate this to actually get tracked. Activate tracked for Santa Claus. I'll discard the Lurie. They can't actually summon, so that's fine. I equip this to just make some space. And I could just summon out Fiendsmith Engraver, but it won't do anything right now. Actually, what is my Engraver plus 2 Light Fiends? Fuck it, dude, why not? Let's put Moon of the Closed Heavens back. So right here, I'm gonna have to do this. I'm gonna have to do this specific thing. No, I don't want to do that. It's okay. I guess it'll be okay. So I can go tracked right here to make Desiree. So I'll use put my Moon of the Closed Heaven back and burn him. Technically, I should have done something a little bit differently, but it's okay. It is a-okay. I'm just trying to show like what all you can really do with this deck. Mm. And the thing is, I kind of want to put Deception onto the field, but if I put Deception on the field, like I won't be able to actually activate Hollowed, like because I have too much stuff. But if my opponents were able to play more, I would have had more free space back here. But hopefully y'all get the idea here. I could tribute their monsters with the Santa Claus, um, which this card is very searchable um, by just doing the Fiendsmith stuff. It's very searchable because you could just do Fiendsmith, do what I did, add Fiendsmith Engraver to hand, send Fiendsmith Engraver to grave to search track to search Santa Claus. So you get your searchable kaiju in this deck. You get a searchable kaiju for a bunch of monsters that activate through Kurakara. You get your subversion, so you could send something into the back row that your opponents may have. You also are going to have Hallowed Azamina again, and if you want to use Sinful Spoils or the Subversion for your Hallowed Azamina target, you can do so because you did search for it. We got Deception again as well, and then also Mitsurugi Prayers. So yeah, we got a lot of access to different stuff. So I'm just gonna activate Hallowed Azamina. I think y'all get the point. And we're just gonna go ahead and win this game. So I'm gonna send Deception. And there it is. We can just win. Now, because I kind of screwed up the Fiendsmith plays, there's nothing equipped underneath this, but that's my own fault. It's just in this deck you're put in situations where you have like limited space in the back, and that is not a negative with this deck. It's just you end up with situations where your opponents will literally like see your inboard and they won't be able to play through all of that shit. You'll have too much stuff. I've had somebody Raigeki my field, and I had just as many monsters on the field after the Raigeki as there were when they Raigeki'd it. Like literally, I had 5 monsters going across the field. They hit me with a Raigeki, and then there was 5 monsters after the Raigeki wiped my field. So just know that this deck floats like crazy. There are ways to dodge stuff like Raigeki. So, one of the ways is through prayers. If they Raigeki your field, you can prayers. So, okay, let me explain this. So, if Raigeki hits Flamberge, it destroys it and it floats into 2 more monsters. So, Flamberge turns from 1 monster into 2. You can prayers off of your Futsu or your Mirakumo, whatever ritual that you got on the field. You prayers that, and then it'll come back. So it dodges it basically. It tributes in the grave, and it'll resolve after the wipe. You'll lose your 2 special summon negates, but that's okay. So that's 3 bodies right there, and then also. Also, there are cards that you can summon back, like the Lacrima and the Fiendsmith Requiem. You can activate that after it wipes your field, so that's another body. And then when they special summon something, you can also summon another body. Plus, if you use both effects off the tribute of prayers, then that's 2 bodies because the card that you tribute plus the level 4 that you special summon. So literally, you can have a full field of 5 bodies on the field after you just get board wiped. So just know that this deck does a lot. Like it can pretty much flood your field through board wipes. You can play from the graveyard. You can do a whole lot. and there's a lot of floating that goes on. You get Omni negate, you get everything. So hopefully this helped y'all understand why I made the deck that I made it. And if you've seen how powerful it is, hopefully you like it and you try it out. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.